Larsen here for the Dreamcatcher podcast. Thanks for joining me. So today I'm actually standing outside um, in Nebraska in January. I think it's probably upper 60s, around 70. No wind. Very, very unusual day. Blessed day. We've been having some amazing January weather. So, yeah, this I didn't know about what was going to be the topic for this podcast episode, but Caleb and I just recorded this morning the 350th episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast, which will be dropping next week. And he suggested that I use or ask AI for a topic about dream catching. So I thought, why not? I thought that would be kind of cool, and so I did. And it suggested that everybody's like, go catch your dreams, but they don't tell you the backstory on catching your dreams, the everything that goes on to get to the dream that you really want to do. So yeah, I think most of us all have a dream. Let's say mine was podcasting, and it is my dream now. I love it, and I can't believe I'm coming up on the 350th episode. So, but it is. I always put out that if the dream was given to you, you have the wherewithal to do it. But I don't tell you all the backstory. The backstory that I've had, and coming up in, soon 5 years that I've been doing this, is I had the idea after being suggested from my friend Crystal out in California that maybe I should do a podcast. It was something that I had never ever thought about doing, I can tell you that. But in that first year I thought, yeah, it's all right. But after that it's like, this is pretty awesome. Love talking to people around the world, and it's just been really, from Pakistan to Nebraska, just about everywhere, India. But there's a lot that went into getting to this point, and a lot of it is not knowing what to do. I didn't have any idea how to do a podcast, and that probably would be whatever your dream is. You probably don't know how to go about it either. And the nice thing about the internet and everything is there's plenty of people out there already doing it. So you can go to you can research YouTube. YouTubes are amazing what people are doing. There's almost somebody doing exactly what you want to do. So there's a lot of content there. But sometimes it's nice to have somebody that is a little more hands-on, or kind of like a Facebook group. And that is one thing I found. And I'm not going to say the Facebook group, but it is. It's basically deals with people that are podcasting. And it's been a very, very good group. Most Facebook groups, I think, are all right, but this one's excellent. And there's a lot of people doing it that have really done well with podcasting. So definitely joined that. And that didn't know what to expect. And it's been great. A lot of the guests that I've had on Dreamcatcher podcast have come from there, and then word of mouth and locally. So it's just you don't know where to start, and it can be very frustrating because it's like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. And it's like we all go through that because it's like you don't know what you don't know what to do because you've never gone through it before. And that's like learning anything new. And thankfully, you need to kind of have the mindset when you were as a child learning how to walk. You got to keep on doing it, because you don't know when you're born and, young child, you don't know how to walk. You fall down many times, and anything you're doing, you're going to fall down. But don't stop. You didn't stop because I'm more than likely, I know you know how to walk. And you just got to have that mindset, the discipline. And they go back to discipline all the time because discipline is a gift. If you have the discipline to brush your teeth every day, you have the discipline to do it's just, you more than likely you're brushing your teeth. It's non-negotiable. It's something you just do. It becomes rote. And that's kind of what your dream needs to be. And on this with the podcast, there's been some frustrating days, and I thought I had imposter syndrome. It's like I told my wife Cheryl, it's like, who would ever want to listen to me? This dude, older dude, and I'm in my 60s, but I don't care about my age, and but some people do. It's like, what does he have to offer to the world? And thing is, we all have something to offer to the world, and but you just got to get over the imposter syndrome because you attract your tribe. Your vibe attracts your tribe. And that is so true. And then I hear people say, well, how soon can I make money on it? doing this or whatever your dream is. And it's like, that is very much up to God, the universe, because it's a slow process. And I mean, some people have overnight success, but I think I've heard what the average overnight success is 10 years. It's not overnight. It takes, well, it takes trial and error. That's when you build your strength. You learn what works and what doesn't work. That's why I'm always trying new things, and I like Riverside FM is what I use to record with. And it helps a lot. It puts in snippets and a lot of suggestions and stuff like that. But I if it hadn't been for Crystal out in California, I wouldn't have known Buzzsprout, which I used to upload to pretty much Apple Music. Just all the places you find, Spotify, your typical, expect to find podcasts. And but I didn't know that. I didn't know how. And then Audacity, and that's actually free editing. And when I started out, I had so many questions. I had it all planned out. The best laid plan. Yeah. And then I found out that people really didn't care for that. They liked it more being real, off the cuff, having like we're having coffee, having a chat. But you don't know that. You have to go through all these pitfalls, and they don't ever tell you about that. These people say, "Well, I got this dream," and they don't tell you all it took to get that dream. But don't stop. Don't stop, because that's what it takes to do. And, for one thing, if you don't go through all that, you don't appreciate what you get. And I think that's why a lot of people that inherit money don't keep it, because they don't appreciate what it took to make that money. It's like anything. You really appreciate what you really worked for, and the trials and errors and the pitfalls and the successes. Because I'm getting to the point now that I've had people. One just the other day, he said he started the podcast, but I was influential in him starting his podcast. There's nothing better, not a better feeling than that. And show people the way. And it's just, they don't tell you all that. There are good days and there are bad days, and bad days when technology's against you. And that can be whether you're doing your dream or, who knows what you're trying to do. It's today's world. There's times where Riverside frustrates me, but it overall is a great platform. And there probably will be things on whatever your dream is that you'll be dealing with. Probably technology. Technology is in every aspect of life and dreams. But in the end, you can look back and see how much you've grown, and growing's always good. We always have the mindset that when you're out of school, you don't need to grow anymore. That doesn't apply anymore. It may have applied sort of, back decades ago, but you always need to grow. You got to keep growing. A plant that doesn't keep growing just kind of exists, and then I think just kind of wilts away. You don't want to be somebody that wilts away. You want to make an impact, because you were put here. God has you here for a reason. I guarantee you, if he woke you up this morning, you have a reason for being here. And so when you're down, reach out. There are plenty of, people out there that are saying, what are the numbers? When do you start making money? How do you do this? But just there's people there, and know that there are people that want to listen to you or want your content. Whatever you're doing, if you have a product out there, it will probably take a while for people to find your product. But then, almost like a switch, a lot of times I believe, is that the people will find you, and it's like, where were all these people? But it takes the reps. It takes the strength building to get you to the point where you can do that dream. And I've said that many times, but they don't tell you that. They put it all this, glorify it, that, oh, this dream, I'm making all, these people that drive these fancy cars and do all this stuff. And it's like, some people just had that handed to them, and then they don't appreciate it most of the time either, I believe. But you really appreciate it when you've put the sweat and tears in. And yeah, and I'm glad that Caleb suggested that I look into AI, because I thought that was a very good suggestion of what people go through. They don't tell you that, and because for one thing, it's not pretty. There's a lot of stuff that goes into learning something, and keep learning. Keep learning. That's one thing I think what's kept me young is keep learning new things. I need to learn how to play golf. if anybody, I have a long ways to learn how to play golf. I can tell you that. But it's like any new skill, you're going to have to do the reps. And it's a lot like anything going after your dream. Um, we have the fear because it's like, wow, if I spend this money on this, am I going to have enough money to pay whatever it is in my life? And yeah, that could be. But I have had the thing that occurs is the money's usually there, or it works out. It works out sometimes very well, and not anyway like I thought it would. And so there's always fear of unknown. That's I think what kept us alive all these centuries and stuff is the fear. It's like I don't know this, and but you got to do it anyway because that's when you get the glory. And yeah, it's just it's a journey, and like anything that you do, from podcasting to whatever it is, starting a business, I would think, because some of these franchises, how much money they have to outlay to start a business, franchise. I mean, talk about having faith, and faith is so important. You have the faith, you have the wherewithal, with the best of your knowledge, that it will be successful. And it doesn't have to be successful, but you never know until you go and do it. Um, and you want to do it because, like I said, if the idea was given to you, you do have the wherewithal. It might take every ounce of your strength, but it builds you into such a strong person that you think, I got through that. And I don't always ask it like, what's next? Because I don't think I want to do that. But just know that you have a lot of company, because the people that are on the internet, especially, I think that is a drawback, because they can put up whatever. They can make it look really pretty. And like I said, wearing fancy clothes, driving nice cars, but you don't know the backstory. And that's why you keep going, because you are the one living your story. And your story is unique to the world. Nobody has your story. Nobody will have your story, because it's yours. And yeah, I think that is very good, that because it's not an area that I've ever approached with this podcast, and with Dreamcatcher, because I always show these people that are doing a lot of things around the world, but we never really ever have dug deep into what they had to go through. I mean, some of these people that, like in Pakistan, what Dawood's doing, there's he's doing amazing things with the orphans and stuff like that. But I know it couldn't have been easy. Well, and he's the one that learned English so he could be on my podcast. He actually spoke and speaks English quite well. But I don't know how much struggle that was to get him to be able to do that. It's the struggle of learning a new language, which he's actually tried to have me learn his language. Yeah, there's a struggle there. I'm comical, so and sometimes don't take life too seriously. Life can be very serious, but sometimes you have to laugh it off, and or sometimes cry. A good cry is not bad either. And sometimes you feel relief after crying, and then you pick yourself up and you start again. Because we're all going through something, and that is why I do these podcasts, because most of these people, all of these people, have gone through something and have succeeded. That's why they're dream catchers, because they've caught their dream and continue to make a positive difference in the world. And so on that, I think that's pretty good for this podcast. But just don't think that it's going to be easy, because more than likely it's not. And if it's easy, you won't appreciate it. The struggle's real. It'll be a struggle unique to yourself. It'll build strength, use into having more strength. It'll make you into a person who can actually do the podcast. It's not fatal, I don't think. If I failed at this podcast, it's not going to be fatal. It may feel like it, but you got to try. You never know until you try. And what if it's the best thing? I could have said that first day that Crystal came and suggested I do a podcast, I could have said, I'm not interested in doing that. And thankfully, I just let's do it. And like I said, there was times nobody was listening to the podcast. Nobody was doing anything. And even now, it's an uphill battle to get people, because there's so many avenues of attention that people can put their attention to. There's how many YouTube channels, how many people on Facebook. And thankfully, I've had a lot of I guess, in my opinion, success on getting followers on Facebook. But it's all journey. It's all learning. Keep learning. Um, so just know that we're all in this together. Go after your dreams. If you're afraid or fearing, reach out, because I guarantee you there's somebody online that has gone through the exact same thing or close to it that can you can talk to. You know, go find groups and get support. Get other people because I've even, there's not a lot of people in central Nebraska doing podcasts, but there are some. And with the internet, I can have people that are doing podcasts across the world. And I find that people that podcast are very good at collaborations, that they're very good at helping each other. And that's one reason why I love podcasting, because they're pretty much awesome people. I've really not met very many people that do podcasting that aren't. So on that, I'm going to end this episode of the Dreamcatcher podcast. Don't give up. You got this. Um, Even when it feels like on the darkest day, the sun always comes up, and with the cliche, I guess that's what it is. Um, so yeah, the sun does always come up, and I'm going to enjoy the sun on this amazing January day, because I think tomorrow is supposed to be about the opposite. And you know, take the blessings as they come. And this is definitely a blessing for us in Nebraska in January, because it's usually I wouldn't be out in a t-shirt, I can tell you that, and the wind would probably be blowing too. So on that, thank you for listening and watching, and until next time, take care.